have a quick share for today. So in 2018, I had been decades in a pattern of survival, which meant looking like abandoning myself, self-sabotaging, and putting myself in very overwhelming situations because I never really understood how to have a relationship with myself. And I didn't understand that I was highly sensitive and extremely empathic, which meant that I could discern and feel the discomfort of those around me. And I also didn't understand that there was a part of me that didn't feel safe unless everything and everybody else around me felt safe. So what that meant is that I fell into a habit and a pattern of rescuing others and identifying with others' issues. And I actually became really good at learning more about people than they understood themselves. And I thought that it was my job to help to fix them or to school them or to overextend and give of myself so that they could realize their purpose and find their peace and find their way. And basically, I just somehow thought that I needed to be a mother to everybody around me. And there were different things that were playing into this. It was about me needing to feel safe and making that dependent on everybody else's circumstances and their moods and their state of being. And it also meant that another aspect of this was that I had a pattern of being abandoned in life. And so subconsciously, I wasn't aware of it at the time, but there was a part of me that believed that if I overgave and overextended and others saw a need to keep me around, then they wouldn't abandon me. And so, as you can imagine, this pattern and way of life and being was extremely chaotic, but it was familiar. It's all that I knew. And so here I am in 2018 in the midst of another one of my projects, and I had a sibling living with me and her 3 children, young children. I had both of my children young, and then I also was living in chaos because my husband's work was chaos, and so when he was in chaos, that meant that I was in chaos. And he was really never home a lot, and his work was very stressful. So I found myself in this situation with so much noise and so much energy and so much chaos whirling around in my house that I felt like I was literally guided to my closet, and because I needed to be able to access some kind of quiet in my house, and that was the only place that I could find it away from everything that was happening in my house. And so in 2018, I watched a video about somebody saying just to go meditate for 5 minutes, and I didn't even know what that really meant. She just said, go sit in silence for 5 minutes. And so that is what I did. She gave this really compelling testimony, and she's like, even if you just give yourself 5 minutes, it'll change your life. So being in a state of desperation that I was, highly fried out on stress, I decided I'm just gonna go and try this out. And what I discovered sitting in my closet for 5 minutes is, for the first time in my life, as I sat there, I was able to become an observer, and I could hear the thoughts. I became aware of the thoughts that were running in the background of my mind. And after those 5 minutes, I experienced a situation where I felt a shift in my body. It was like those 5 minutes of silence and stillness and just breathing and listening and feeling my body on the ground, feeling myself in the closet, allowed for me to disconnect from the thoughts and realize that I'm an observer of my thoughts. And that, my friend, was the beginning of radical transformation in my life. Because when we become an observer of our thoughts, then we learn self-awareness, and we learn that we can choose new thoughts by working with our nervous system, by developing a relationship with our inner child. And we just start to excavate and go deep into how we learned the thoughts that we think. And also we can take into account and decide that what are the ramifications or the consequences of me thinking these thoughts, and is it actually getting me out of life what I desire? So as you can imagine, it just started this whole ripple effect. It's like an invisible something or another. It started this whole ripple effect of empowerment. It allowed me to then become a co-creator of my life instead of a victim of all of these thoughts that I couldn't even understand, that I just thought that they were me. I just thought that all of my sensitivity and my inability to control and regulate my emotions was just an Elise problem. I didn't understand it was a conditioning and a result of the life that Elise had lived issue. I just thought it was an Elise issue, and sadly there were many, many times and many, many years in my life where I thought I should just go institute myself in a mental hospital and maybe they can fix me. Maybe if I can just go for a week or a month, they can fix me and I can come out and be normal and fit in with the world. Thank God that that was not the answer, and I never had to try that out. And I'm just thankful for this journey and this path of empowerment and self-awareness. So if you find yourself in life in a situation that just doesn't feel right, if your physical health is not where you desire to be, if the quality of your life, mind, body, spirit, relationally with others isn't where you want to be, I just want to invite you to learn how to become an observer of your thoughts, because that is going to open up the door to self-awareness. And when we become self-aware, that is when we access the power. That is when we access insight, and it's where we connect with our intuition and we can really be honest with ourselves about what is actually happening in our life and what our role in our life is regarding those circumstances.